Hey, it's RJ, and I know it's been a while since I made a video, but trust me, I'll be making more YouTube videos, but never mind that. Let's get into the video. So we probably got one of the best horror movies from the decade. Personally, my favorite from this year so far, given that Backgrounds doesn't come out yet, which I'll watch and make a video on. But today, we're going to talk about the highly talked about movie, Obsession. Obsession is a supernatural horror thriller directed by Curry Barker that follows Bear, a shy music store employee who secretly loves his childhood friend Nikki. After using a mysterious object called the One Wish Willow to make her fall in love with him, his fantasy quickly turns into a nightmare as Nikki's affection becomes dangerously obsessive and violent. Blending psychological horror with dark humor and social commentary, the film explores themes of obsession, control, loneliness, and specifically toxic entitlement. Going into Obsession, I genuinely knew almost nothing about it. I didn't see a single trailer, clip, or spoiler online, and honestly, I only even heard about the movie like 2 days before it was released. One of my friends watched it on a Wednesday early screening and kept talking about how much they loved it, and so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just get a ticket and see what the hype was about. I am genuinely glad that I did. Watching the film without any expectations or spoilers made the experience far more impactful. The story, the atmosphere, and overall the execution completely drew me in. And by the end of the film, I found myself thoroughly enjoying it. It was engaging and a memorable experience that kind of stayed with me after I left the theater. Another major reason why I decided to watch the Obsession movie was because of the actress named Indy Neverready. I previously knew her from CW series Superman and Lois and from a few brief appearances in the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. While she plays a character in Superman and Lois, I always felt that the role didn't fully allow her to showcase the full extent of her acting abilities as much as if her character revolved around being Jordan's girlfriend. Seeing her transition from the role into Obsession, where she essentially serves as the film's central antagonist, was genuinely impressive to me. Her performance stood out and demonstrated a completely different range that we can never see from her before due to her not really having her shot in industry specifically with previous projects that she has been having no really good material. After all, watching this film, I definitely want to see her on more projects, especially within the horror genre, because she fits this style extremely well and delivered a memorable performance. I watched this movie and I really gave this movie a moderate decent score, and off watching the movie I really liked the concept of the movie, and there are issues with the movie that didn't really sit right with me, and I've discussed the movie with my friends, and there are things I really have interpreted the movie, and I was like conflicted to change my score without a rewatch due to a movie that is similar, which is called Possession. But then I was like, you know what? Well, harm will be done if I get a ticket to rewatch Obsession at 1:40 p.m. to see if my score will remain the same or change significantly, and gotta say, it kind of did, to be honest. Obsession is a movie I never expected to like per se or love due to its subject matter and how it's portrayed on screen. For a horror film which fits in an average drama genre, and overall Obsession is mainly about character-driven characters or characters that are obsessed with accomplishing their goals to pursue something bigger than themselves. Obsession removes that and it puts into a romance drama, which is something I was thinking that hasn't been done yet, but a great name named Curry Barker thought of it and was glad that he did. Curry Barker was first known as a comedy sketch called That's a Bad Idea with his friend Cooper Tomlinson, and later movie made Obsession. The movie was shown in September 6th of 2025 at TIFF, and audiences really loved this when it was first shown last year, but the movie had an issue with the rating almost receiving an NC-17 rating due to an excessively graphic and prolonged violence. Specifically, the MPA took an issue with the brutal car sequences featuring about 6 to 7 more violent head smashes, but in the original cut, agreed to trim those specific hits to secure an R rating. But to talk about the movie Obsession. Obsession shows our protagonist Bear is a character that seems to have no confidence as a true strength for Nikki, but results in taking the wrong advice from Ian to needing a wish to get her to like her. Bear is a character that is essentially just wants to crush, he wants to like her, but off the start of the movie, he likes her, but he needs other people's help, and the intro scenes a waitress from a restaurant to practice how he feels about her, which is cringy and makes him look like a simp. Bear overall portrays a lot of have asked themselves when he or she starts to have feelings for someone that are genuine, even though we are unsure if you can tell them because we don't know how to accept rejection or ruin of a friendship and feel stupid for even trying. Bear is really the question that everyone in their head says but can't say out loud, which is, I wish he or she can like me, or I wonder how me and so-and-so would be a couple. We later see that he knows off rip it's too good to be true, he got the girl he's dreamed about and is confused at the situations that occur after when we occur to see him with Nikki, and at first we root for him, we do root for him, but it's never real or has ever been real due to him cheating the system of him not really rizzing her up and trying to get Nikki the right way, or just could have told her how he felt and accepted the rejection from her. Bear experiences that most of the norm from her, and he says it's weird but kind of pushes aside and tries to understand why Nikki did what she did. She makes excuses that are very assholes of excuses and accepts her excuses, which he accepts. The story later shows that Nikki's extremities, from her always asking where Bear's going, to her lying to Bear about her dad having cancer, saying that she doesn't feel better about it and needs Bear to comfort her, to Nikki cutting Bear's hair when he's sleeping, duct taping the door so she can feel close to him and not let him go to work, cooking his dead cat into a sandwich, so much more that we see that Bear's really terrified by her gestures that she deems that are acts of love, which we know isn't the real Nikki, but a personification of someone who has obsessive love for someone that can be very extreme and terrifying, of how someone's love can be very toxic and obsessive. There are some instances where we see the real Nikki peeking every so often, and when we see the real Nikki, it is never out of joy that she's with Bear. It's automatically fear that she has no control. And when we see Nikki sleep before Bear tries to see Sarah, the real Nikki asks Bear to kill her due to the pain and suffering that she goes through not having control of this entity taking control over her. And we see Bear clearly not do what people say, well, he loves her, so he won't do it. No. He doesn't do it because he's obsessed with her. He doesn't want to let go of what he has that he knows isn't Nikki, but lies himself to believe it is her. We even later see when Nikki destroys Sarah's face when Bear's in the car with Sarah before he reads her letter from Luther. Nikki later says, I'm so sorry you had to see that, baby, but it's kind of your fault. Just remember that you wanted this, but I'm so happy you did. The real Nikki was never obsessed with him at all and is a victim of someone who's obsessed with them. Our high key where he's stalking her Instagram pictures, instantly smiles, and kind of glad that she calls him, and feels like the little hints is what makes him feel there is a possibility or reality she does like him, which makes him the red flag since the beginning of the movie. This movie has a lot of social commentaries that I love, and kind of glad that Curry Barker dives into, which on a rewatch made me even like the movie even more. While watching Obsession made me realize how dangerous the facade of the nice guy can be. The male lead Bear presents himself as caring, attentive, and loving, but beneath that image is manipulative, controlling, and obsessive character. The film challenges the idea that kindness automatically makes someone trustworthy and shows how people use the niceness to gain emotional control over others. It also highlights how the character feels entitled to love and affection simply because of his strong feelings for them. The movie also explores the idea of coerced consent and not true consent, which is the main social commentary. Emotional pressure, guilt, and manipulation are constantly used to push boundaries, showing that consent is given out of fear, exhaustion, or pressure, and is not genuine. The film demonstrates that coercion can be emotional and psychological and not just physical. Another important theme or social commentary is codependency. The character becomes emotionally dependent or each other in healthy ways, confusing obsession with love. Instead of supporting each other or grow, the relationship becomes toxic and fueled by insecurity, control, and fear of rejection. Overall, the movie critiques relationships based off obsession rather than mutual respect of healthy boundaries. Also, the cherry on top is being in the friend zone, which a lot of guys and girls really hate when you have feelings for someone who means a lot to you and they mean a lot to them, and it becomes hard to truly be next to the person you want to pursue. Before I dive into my issues of the movie, I want to say this is my view of who the villain is and truly who the victim is of this movie, and I feel like it's very self-explanatory. Nikki is clearly the victim of being taken advantage of, having no consent to anything this entity here is doing and letting Bear do with her or to do Bear. If Nikki was never to quit the music store job, he probably would accept her rejection, but due to her leaving, he makes the wish trap her and make her fall in love with him more than anyone in the world, which makes him trapped. The moment he made the wish, and the scene that shows that he was trapped, is when Nikki duct taped the whole door that demonstrates she was so obsessed to keep him so she can be with him. Bear is what I call a simp. Bear, we can see in the beginning scene when he tells her just how he wants to feel about Nikki. Ian says, okay, that was cringy. Bears is a nice guy until he uses the wish, which diminishes his character and later makes him not the good guy. Baylor asks, what would be so bad? What would be so bad about being with me? Bears feels entitled to be with her when he shouldn't due to him mystery what's happening with Nikki. Like, she calls him and talks to him about putting her 2 weeks in. It feels like they're running out of time. Right after she tells him that her crystal necklace falls and buys her one and feels obligated to get her one and feel like a white knight. And later on when Bear tells her that he got her something, she got nervous, and Bear never wanted that reaction and wanted her to feel all happy and flirty with him. Bear throughout the movie knows that this isn't really Nikki due to Ian telling him that Nikki's dad doesn't have cancer and is clean as a baby. Even later asks her with fear if she loves him more than anyone, and when she responds yes, more than anyone, you know he already knows. Right after she says that, you can tell that Nikki took a while to say yeah more than anyone due to the real Nikki not loving Bear the way Bear wants her to love him. The last thing I want to talk about is the ending. I love the ending, and it first showed us how this cat died. Something learned from Bear is that he can't take care of himself, and we later see him take the pills. Later we hear the one wish Willow charm go because Nikki makes the wish that Bear is obsessed with her, as well as so they can be both together and love each other forever. And a hidden detail you might have noticed is that Nikki styles her hair and makes tattoos in Sharpie like Sarah Sarah, but the pills are already killing Bear. With Bear dead, the real Nikki comes back and sees all her dead friends and screams, taking in all that has happened. Now, I want to dive into the issues or problems. You can say that problems I overlooked are kind of pretentious, and safe my score due to hearing the high praise kind of gets you to have high expectations from the movie. First, I want to start off with performances. Besides Indy's performance, most of the acting felt very average to me and lacked the emotional gravity needed to make the story feel more impactful. I never fully connected with a lot of the characters because the performances didn't feel so strong enough to carry the intense themes the movie was trying to explore. I also thought the cinematography was kind of disappointing overall. There are definitely a few cool and visually interesting shots throughout the movie, but most of it didn't stand out to me in a memorable way. Considering the tone and themes of the film, I expected the visuals to have more style and atmosphere. Another thing I wish the movie did better was Sarah's character. Even though it's not a major flaw, I felt like she should have been more in the story because her feelings for Bear seemed genuine and honestly. She felt like the healthier and better choice for him. I also think making her more of a threat to Nikki would have added more tension and purpose to her character. The sentimental moments between Sarah and Bear were genuine and emotional, but since they're only shared 2 meaningful scenes together, I wanted more development from her character overall. She really served a key moment in the third act, which is good after what happens, but would have wanted a little more even though we see more screen time from Ian and then her. At the time of recording, this movie has an insane graph, and the graph increased and is now on top 500. At the time of recording, this is placed at number 327, and honestly, I prefer this glaze over Project Hail Mary. But other than that, you can say I'm obsessed with Obsession. What do you guys think about Obsession? Comment down below your thoughts, and do you guys think Nikki's still the victim or Bear? Go watch Obsession now in theaters. But guys, till next time, I'll see y'all for Backrooms.